morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're situated on this great, big, beautiful blue globe floating through the void of Yah's creation. It's Tuesday, Taco Tuesday, the 3rd of February, 2026. And you know, this song, the words in this song gain more and more significance every single day. Guess what, you monsters out there? You won't be trusted anymore. Wow! Whoa, okay. Slow down, Dave, slow down. I'll tell you, folks, you know, I've said this. You're going to hear me repeating myself numerous times on today's show. The regular listeners, you know where I'm coming from. Anybody who's done any vetting on yours truly, and I encourage you to do so. Use the Wayback Machine. Go to, you can go to GulfWarVets.com, or you can go to ThePowerHour.com. Check out the documents section. I've been at this for 30 flaming years. And I'll tell you, like I said so many times before, there's no joy in I told you so for either party. And there are a lot of us that have been screaming from the rooftops for years and years and years. And you all said, oh, he's just crazy. He's conspiracy theorist, tinfoil hat. You hate your country. You're a neo-Nazi. You're a skinhead. You're a racist. You're a Republican. You're a Democrat. You're a liberal. You're a conservative. I went through this garbage when they first started. You know, I mean, when I first got involved in this back in the 90s, Bill Clinton was president. And, of course, I was being labeled as a right-wing extremist. That's because all the media was throwing you intellectual fecal matter in the form of the Monica Lewinsky story. Well, the real story behind the scene was Chinagate. And for that, oh, yeah, you're a right-wing extremist. Yeah, okay, fine. Yeah, whatever. And then, after Clinton, then we got Bush in there. You know, Bush Jr., GW. and I was going after him. Oh, wait a second. Before that. Before Clinton. Excuse me. I got to back up even more. Bush won during the Gulf War. Screaming about him, oh, you're a left-wing extremist. Then Clinton gets in. You're a right-wing extremist. Then Bush Jr. gets in. You're a left-wing extremist. Then Obama gets in. Or you're a right-wing extremist and a racist. You hate Obama because he's black. No, gosh. I'll tell you, I'm so sick of this. I really am. But with what's happening right now, with all of the people now, all of the internet sleuths that are out there, and there are millions of them. You folks at the FBI and the CIA, you know, you've got an entire population of people, not just in this country, but all over the world that are digging into this stuff. And you can't hide it anymore. No, it's all coming out. And people are flipping left and right. You don't hear right-wing conservative Republicans abandoning the Republicans and going Democrat, do you? No. But you are hearing about a lot of Democrats or liberals that are abandoning their positions and realizing, you know, I was sold a bill of goods. And so people are flipping all over the place from the liberal to the conservative because now they're finally seeing things. Now, I'm not going to play politics here. I've always said it's not right versus left. It's right versus wrong. And there's plenty of corruption in the Republican and conservative parties. You know, there's plenty on both sides. And again, I'm very well documented and on the record for having no love of either party. I call them Republicrats and Demopublicans. And you regular listeners know that. But anyway, I'm feeling somewhat vindicated today, but I'm also pretty PO'd because of the fact that, you know, for years and years and years and years, I mean, going back to the 90s when I started my talk radio career at WATR AM 1320 in Waterbury, Connecticut, and that was during the Oklahoma City bombing. And that's when I really started tumbling down the rabbit hole. I mean, I started tumbling a few years before that. But once that happened, and I started talking to Representative Charles Key, I talked to General Ben Parton, talked to, Anthony Hilder, Ted Gunderson, rest his soul. Ted and I spent so many hours talking about stuff, and it wasn't just about the Oklahoma City bombing. Because it was, at the time, I was also involved with the Gulf War veterans issues. And I've told you, regular listeners, many times before that when Joyce and I were traveling around the country meeting with veterans, sometimes they handed us plain manila envelopes with very interesting documentation. And I shared some of that stuff with Ted Gunderson. Some of these documents had to do with the sub-projects of MK Ultra. We all remember the kids on the milk carton kids? Yeah, many of them were being recruited into programs in the CIA, and they were turned into either assassins, suicide bombers, or sex slaves. And the sex slaves, that was a much larger segment of those kids went off to that. And, of course, I was sharing some of these documents with Ted. Ted and I, we were bumping into each other all the time because I was, speaking engagements all over the country, as was he. And we'd end up at the hotel afterwards, and we'd be sitting there having a drink and talking about it. And I'll tell you, that's when my head really exploded, because I found out, what was going on with the explosion of panic cults that were going on back in that day. And, of course, it's gone unabated since that time, because most of Americans don't want to hear about it. Oh, that couldn't be true. Nobody would be involved with that. That's crazy stuff. Tinfoil, conspiracy theorist. Well, I got to ask you folks that have participated in that type of ridicule or what have you, or denial. Ask yourself, how many thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of children have suffered since that time because we didn't do anything about it? Well, some of us did. I was screaming from the rooftops, but unfortunately, the overwhelming majority of Americans had their fingers stuck in their ears and their eyes closed, and they're going, la, 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 la. They don't want to hear it. No. Well, I'm telling you right now, the ears are being unplugged, the eyes are being opened, and now people are shutting up. Because it's about time that they sit down, face reality, because, and I've said it so many times, if there's one issue, we could talk about big pharma, we could talk about big agra, we could talk about, Israel, we could talk about whatever. I'm telling you that if there is one issue that we need to focus on, one, and if we can focus in on this one issue, all the other issues will fall into place. And that one issue, I promise you folks, it's the Satan worshiping that's going on. Oh, that's a conspiracy. Okay, if that's what you think, raise your hand and slap yourself with it numerous times. We are in a global spiritual war right now. And most people don't want to admit that. It's too hard. It's too ugly. It's too painful. It requires too much of my intellectual attention. The Super Bowl's coming up this week, and I don't want to disturb that. No, leave me alone. Put it, go away. That's what we're dealing with. Well, I'm telling you, folks, reality is going to be smacking a lot of people upside the head in a big, big way. That's why I'm saying, folks, if there's one issue that we need to address and face head on, and with the power of Almighty God behind us, it's the issue of satanic worshiping, trafficking, cults, sacrifices, rituals. This stuff is real. It has been real all this time. And because of the fact that too many Americans have been in denial, it's allowed these satanic cults to proliferate and to expand, and it's virtually everywhere. And I've been monitoring the social media, and I will tell you that there are lots and lots of people who are posting. I've been monitoring these posts. This is where a lot of people are getting their news these days, myself included. Yeah, I check out the networks. I pay attention to what they're reporting, and I also pay attention to what they're not reporting. And sometimes the silence is deafening. And I think that we're seeing that right now. We really are. Stop and think about it. Since the release of all these Epstein files, was it 3 million pages or something like that? Oh, I forget what it is. Yeah, the media reports that the stuff was released, but they're not talking about that much about what's in it. They're not talking about the hot dog parties and the pizza parties. God bless Ben Swan. Remember 10 years ago, a decade ago, when the Pizzagate story was starting to break. And Ben Swan did a real heavy-duty cover on that, and he was immediately dismissed. Well, he's still out there, and you know what? Like I said, there's no joy in I told you so for either party. Well, now more and more people are starting to pay attention. They're starting to see this. And they're, hopefully, you folks who have been in denial all this time, I hope you get a little sick to your stomach. I hope you stop and say, oh my God, I was wrong. And that's really tough. A lot of people have a real problem battling with their ego and their pride. And those are the two main obstacles for truth. They say the truth is a bitter pill. They say that the truth hurts. Well, that's true. It does. And that's why people don't want to take that pill. Anyway, for years and years, yours truly was doing, screaming from the rooftops, using music and comedy and stuff like that. Well, because a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. But anyway, the point is that there are a lot of people who are being force-fed the truth. They don't want it, but they have no choice. And there's a couple of posts here that I want to share with you from folks at, let me see, was posted, it says Santa Trump, but I don't think it's really Trump. I really don't. I don't care, actually, but I'm going to play a segment of this guy's explanation here about the process that many Americans are going to have to go through. I have several clips like that, but this is important, folks. I don't think that there's another issue in this world that is more important than exposing these networks of disgusting, vile, satanic, evil, flesh-eating, baby-sacrificing vampires. Anyway, here's a little bit of audio on that.
The Epstein files. A lot of information's coming out on this now. I've been watching the reaction of people on social media, and their disgust and horror of what they're reading. For those of you who are just now starting to do a deep dive on the Epstein files, I want you to understand something. There's a group of people in this country and around the world who started diving into the Epstein files long before it was popular. For some of us, it's been over 10 years. I can tell you I personally have gone down some really deep, dark, evil rabbit holes. This is my message for those of you who are just starting to get into this. You haven't seen the bad stuff yet. I'll repeat that. You haven't seen the bad stuff yet. It gets way worse. When I say way worse, just for an example to point you in the right direction, infant babies. Yeah. When you find out what these people were doing to children and babies, it's going to shock you to the core. What bothered me the most was finding out who was involved and how many people were involved. Do you remember George Carlin saying, they're all in a great big club and you ain't in it?
I remember.
He wasn't kidding.
No, he wasn't.
He said, it's all of them.
It is all of them,
folks.
The
rich and famous. Your favorite Hollywood actors and actresses. Royalty around the world. World leaders. Your favorite singers, rock stars and rappers. CEOs of Fortune 500 companies. Senators and congressmen from the U.S. government. Federal and Supreme Court justices. And yes, former U.S. presidents. Oh, and I don't want to leave out the newscasters that we watch on TV every night.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they were involved too.
Yeah, that's why I have that song, You Won't Be Trusted Anymore. I wrote that 30 years ago, dedicated to those lying monsters on your television.
There are millions of people in our country and around the world who are awake. They realize we've been living in the Matrix.
Mm-hmm.
For For those of you who haven't figured out there's something much bigger happening in the background that we aren't being told about, my message is this. What we are living through, what we are going through as a country and throughout the world is way bigger than you can imagine.
I'm going to pause it for a second because this is so important people understand. How could it possibly be bigger? Because this is a spiritual battle. This is a battle for humanity. And unfortunately, the overwhelming majority of people on this planet right now, if this is a test, you're failing it. The proof is in Gaza right now. The world has been sitting by watching what's going on over there in blue country, and yet most people have been, well, not most people in this country anyway, and in the UK, you know, the rest of the world sees it. But anyway, I digress. I'm going to let him continue for another couple of seconds here.
It's way bigger than Orange Man Bad.
Yep.
It's way bigger than left versus right.
Yep.
It's way bigger than blue versus red.
Uh-huh. Told you so.
It's way bigger.
Mm-hmm.
I've always wondered how our country is going to come back together. We've gotten so divided. I can't imagine us coming back together. But I can with this. Everything that I'm talking about that's happening in the background that you aren't being openly told about, it's all about the children.
Yes.
This thing that we're starting to learn about is so much bigger and so much more organized than you can imagine. And it's pure evil.
It is pure evil. And I remember Lara Logan was discussing about, you know, she was, I forget who she was interviewing, but she was asking, how do they justify this? What motivates them to do this? And the response was, you have to, an attack on pure innocence is an attack on God Almighty. And that's why they do it. So we are dealing with the opposite of godliness. We are dealing with Satanists, Luciferians. And there is one particular country that has admitted that Lucifer is their god. Anyway, here's another post from another person who is awakened.
It's not crazy that the world is run by a cabal of elite technocrat billionaire pedophiles who use child sacrifice as an initiation ritual. It's actually perfectly logical. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. So
okay, I'm going to pause it for a second. You remember me talking about the ladder of success? When you're climbing a ladder of success, whether it be in the private sector or the public sector, eventually you come upon a rung that is going to require that you compromise your principles and abandon your morals. And unless you're willing to do that, you don't get to climb any higher. That's the way it works.
In order to gain absolute power, you have to prove that you're completely corruptible.
Bingo.
Okay, how do you do that? Well, you do the most evil thing possible. You torture the most innocent thing in existence. And what you do when you say that is you're saying, I'm willing to do anything to maintain this power. And that's how they select for people that they want to put in high-level positions, because they'll completely curtail to the agenda of the people in control. That's how you move up the ranks. Just like any evil inverted hierarchy. Like, it's not magic voodoo, these rituals. It's just like what it means. Like, if you go and join a gang, they make you go beat somebody up or kill somebody. Because what you're saying is, I'm relinquishing my soul, my own morality, my own commitment to the true, the good, and the beautiful in order to gain power in this particular hierarchy. Okay, which seems like you're gaining power for yourself, but it's actually the evil gaining power over you. That's why it's selling your soul. You're losing your own moral rooting, your autonomy. And that's why Trump can't do anything but whatever Bibi Netanyahu says. Because maybe not him, and this is all hypothetical, alleged, but like maybe there's a video somewhere of him doing something awful to a child. And maybe he needed to do that in order to get to the position he's in now. Maybe the same with, like, I don't know, Jay-Z or something. Maybe the world is kind of like an inverted hierarchy, like a gang, and to get to the tippity top of it, you have to completely sell out your morality. And how do you do that? Well, you torture children, and that's what the initiation ritual actually is. And then if you don't do what they say, they hold the video over your head, and that's what happens.
Okay, yeah, well, that's true. And I'll be the first one to admit, Donald Trump back in the 80s and 90s, yeah, he was part of the team. Yeah, he was hanging out with all of these monsters. Yeah, he was playing the game. Yeah, he was part of it. But you do get to change your mind. There is such a thing as, a light bulb going off over your head. There is such a thing as forgiveness. And I think that, there was a point in time where Donald Trump realized that this whole disgusting cabal was not something he wanted to be a part of. So I still have hope that there is some goodness in Donald Trump. Although he's been playing some, very, very high-stakes footsie games with a lot of very evil people. But then again, Sun Tzu says, hold your friends close and hold your enemies even closer. So maybe there really is a 5D chess game going on. I'd like to think so. I mean, I will tell you, I've had my faith shaken a number of times. But anyway, let me see, one after another. Oh, there was one clip I wanted to play. Barbara Marx Hubbard had a Freudian slip. Wait till you hear this. Let me see, get this.
Species on the face of this earth to be aware.
Oh, I didn't plug it in. Okay, hold on a second. There's going to be a buzz here for a second. There it is. Sorry about that. Okay, this is a Freudian slip from Barbara Marx Hubbard. Listen to this.
We are the first species on the face of this earth to be aware of evolution, to be aware that we are affecting our own evolution by everything that we do.
What do you do?
The babies we eat, the food we eat, the wars we fight.
The babies we eat?
The babies we eat.
Yeah, the babies we eat. A Freudian slip there. Isn't that something? Wow. All right, go take a quick break here.
Get More Tank will save you money every month on gas. Get More Tank is a tablet with active ingredients that adds big mileage to every tank. Made in America, the Get More Tank formula is used by trucking companies and heavy industry. Now the Get More Tank formula is available to you. Get More Tank works in any gas or diesel engine, cleans your engine, lowers emissions, and you'll feel improved engine performance every time you step on the gas. Get More Tank works for cars, trucks, boats, motorcycles, four-wheelers, mowers, and blowers. Hey, if you got an engine, then Get More Tank. Contractors, electricians, plumbers, painters, and lawn service companies, Get More Tank will save you money and extend the life of your engines. If you're an owner-operator running your big rig around the town or across the country, Get More Tank will save you money too. If you're a farmer, all of your equipment can use Get More Tank. A 5-pack on sale at GetMoreTank.com for just $22.22 plus shipping. Use the promo code REDPILL101 and get 10% off. Save your money, save your engine, save the earth at GetMoreTank.com. Get More Tank is EPA registered, doesn't void warranties, results vary.
And you can get more Tank by visiting our website, TheWTFReports.com. The, T-H-E, don't forget that part. TheWTFReports.com. Click on the sponsors page, and it'll take you down to a window where you can find out all about Get More Tank, how it works, why it works, and all the specifications and details. Yeah, this stuff is really good. You start using it right away, you're going to notice more power in your vehicle. When you hit the accelerator, your vehicle takes off. And you'll also notice that it runs cleaner. Yeah, that's good for the environment. And after a couple of tanks and your engine adjusts to it, you're going to see improved mileage, anywhere between 15 and 20%. Now, that's money in your pocket. Do the math. How much is a tank of gas these days? 30, 40 bucks, depending upon your vehicle? Yeah, one purchase of Get More Tank for 20 bucks with the discount, you're already making money. So it doesn't make sense not to use Get More Tank. So go to our website, TheWTFReports.com, click on the sponsors page, and get more Tank. All right, staying on topic, more and more people, like I said, all over the country and all over the world now are pouring through all these documents and pictures and all that stuff and videos. Oh my gosh, there's so much stuff out there, and people are starting to realize, yeah, we crazy conspiracy tinfoil hat wearing nut jobs, we were right all this time. Anyway, here's another post from somebody who's discussing this exact situation.
A lot of mainstream media is not talking about the Epstein files.
No, they're not.
Like, they're not actually talking about what is in the Epstein files. Really, what's in them. Okay.
Yeah, they talk about the release of the files, but they're not talking about what's in the files.
Okay, they're not talking about it. It's interesting. So unless you're going and looking for it or you're on social media, you're not going to find it. You're not going to find everything that they, like the insane shit. They're only talking about it from like a sensational celebrity point of view instead of a systemic point of view. And that's probably because they're afraid of the fact that it kind of invalidates our entire system and the entire way that the world runs and how we live. They're also kind of ignoring or downplaying the amount of like open, blatant Jewish supremacy that is in these files. They keep trying to focus on like individual people instead of looking at the fact that it indicts every single one of our institutions. And of course, they're ignoring the fact that everything in there is connected to Israel. That we've seen so far, by the way. There's still millions that haven't been released. Now that we know that everybody that runs the world and all the people that uphold all the systems that we have to abide by and the rules we have to abide by, that none of them abide by, and they're all criminals and they're all traffickers. Why are we listening to them? Why aren't people getting arrested? Why aren't people getting arrested? Back when they were fighting about whether or not to vote to release them, Mike Johnson said, we have to be careful as to not make our entire system illegitimate. Because it seems as though he understood that by allowing people to see just how dark and depraved and demented and evil the people are that actually run the world and the system, that regular people might be like, wow, we're all suckers.
Yeah, we all went for it. So, yeah, the mainstream media, like I said, the silence is deafening. They're not talking about this stuff. So, anyway, I got a couple of other things I wanted to get here. Oh, yes. Oh, remember this? This is reported on CNBC, and this might turn your stomach a little bit. But a lot of us have been screaming about this for a long time, but now it's starting to come to the surface. Listen to this.
People who eat hot dogs eat them because they taste so good, but what's in them is not so good. You know, we've learned to accept it, but I don't know if you'll feel so accepting after this. The company Clear Foods recently analyzed 345 hot dog and sausage products from 75 brands and retailers and found... Are you hot dog lovers ready for this?
Listen to this.
Human DNA in 2% of the samples and in 2/3 of the vegetarian samples. And get this, 10% of all vegetarian products appear to contain meat. Clear Foods says that there are some companies producing high-quality hot dog, top scores to Butterball, McCormick, Eckrich, and Hebrew National. Human DNA.
Wow. Human DNA in your hot dogs. Let that settle in for a minute. Now, I can't help but think about an interview that was done about 20 years ago with James Wickstrom, who, of course, he's, because of his stand on a lot of issues, he was labeled as an anti-Semite and he's a white supremacist, et cetera, which he may be. But he had an interview, a telephone interview, with Rabbi Finkelstein, and Finkelstein admitted a bunch of this stuff. And the interesting thing is, after Rabbi Finkelstein did this interview, he was no longer with us. Anyway, in regard to this news story from CNBC that you just heard about human DNA in the hot dogs, here's what Finkelstein said on that subject.
I know you know because I've heard it on your show before. I mean, we steal 100 to 300,000 children a year just here in this country, and we drain the blood and we mix it with a Passover bread, and then we throw the bodies into the slaughterhouses that we own, and we grind up all the bodies in the sausage and the hamburger. McDonald's is one of our favorite outlets, and the people, they eat it for breakfast, they eat their children for lunch, and us Jews, we gotta do what we do.
We gotta do what we do. And again, that was Pastor Finkelstein. And I can't help but think there are some people that have been asking a very interesting question. Millions and millions of people pass away every year. Okay? So, how come cemeteries haven't been expanding? Think about that. Think about your town and where the cemetery is. And think about how many people have passed away in that town. Where are they putting all these bodies? Oh, well, they're cremating them. Yeah, that's what they're saying. But there are people out there that once they receive their loved one's ashes and they have them tested, they find out that there's no human DNA involved in them. Just asking questions. Just asking a question. That's all I'm doing. I'm not accusing anybody of anything, but I find it really interesting that whenever you point this stuff out, you're immediately attacked. Now, you just heard it from Rabbi Abe Finkelstein about what he said. Now, you can condemn all of that, that particular group of people, but you've got all of these different groups now that are really aggressively trying to censor any discussion whatsoever that might bring suspicion upon a certain group of individuals that only represent about 2.5% of the U.S. population. And yet, if they only represent 2.5% of the population in this country, then we have to look at the different groups out there. Look at the media. Look at the politicians. Look at the healthcare industry. Speaking of the healthcare industry, let's take a look here. Okay, looking at the CDC director was Rochelle Walensky. She happens to be part of that group, as is the CDC deputy director, Ann Shurkot. She's part of that group too. The CDC chief of staff, Sherry Berger. She's part of that group too. The CDC chief medical officer, Mitchell Wolf, is part of that group too. So far, that's 100% in charge of the CDC. Okay? Then we've got, the COVID czar was Jeff Zients. He's part of that group. Part of the CDC director, Washington office is Jeff Renzek. He's part of that group. Let me see, COVID senior advisor is Andy Schlatt, and he's part of that group. It goes on. The assistant HHS assistant health secretary, Rochelle Levine, is also part of that group. The head of Pfizer, Albert Bourla, is part of that group. Pfizer chief scientist is Michael Dolstein, part of that group. Moderna chief scientist is Tal Zaks. He's part of that group. BlackRock CEO Larry Fink is part of that group. BlackRock president is Rob Capito. He's part of that group. The Vanguard CEO. Oh, wait a second. It says here he's a Shabbos Goy, which means he's a convert of that group. Let me see. The Perelman School of Medicine, Drew Weissman, part of that group. Chief scientist at Gamaleya Institute, Anthony Alstein, part of that group. I mean, I could go on. Chief medical officer of Johnson & Johnson, Joanne Waldstretcher, is part of that group. Chief medical officer of Merck, Michael Rosenblatt, part of that group. Executive chairman of the World Economic Forum is Klaus Schwab, part of that group. Head advisor of the World Economic Forum is Yuval Noah Harari, part of that group. And yet, they're only 2.5% of the U.S. population. Oh, okay. So how would you say they have, we can't even discuss the fact that they are part of that group. Because if you do, the ADL's going to come after you. Anyway, we got just more and more stuff. Oh, by the way, the phone number, if you want to join me, you're welcome to do so. 215-867-8255. That's the number here. If you want to join the conversation, you want to call me a name, have at it. Let's go. 215-867-8255. Okay, there's a couple of other things here. Let me see. Yeah, okay, already got that, already did that. Oh, yeah, Roseanne Barr. Okay, everybody, she was screaming about that stuff, but she got labeled just like, remember what happened with Mel Gibson back in the 90s when he started talking about this? Yeah, he was, summarily dismissed. And now, guess what? Mel Gibson was right. Here's Roseanne Barr. She was at an event with Tucker Carlson. He gave her the mic, and she let it go. Here she is.
No, they eat babies. That is not bullshit. It's true.
So it's not just the dogs and the cats, not just the pets.
It's not just the dogs and the cats. They're full-on vampires. And everybody still thinks I'm crazy, but I'm not crazy. They're full-on vampires. They love the taste of human flesh, and they drink human blood. They do it. They say you can't wake people up that are pretending to be asleep, but I pray to God, please wake up even those who are pretending to be asleep with the irrefutable truth of what the worst people on this planet are really up to. They are really up to that. They're doing it.
Wow.
There are so many victims.
So many victims. Absolutely. Millions of them. Now, a little bit earlier in this broadcast, I was talking about how you can change your mind. You may have been involved in this stuff up to your eyeballs, but when you all of a sudden see the light and you step away from it and work against it, yeah, you can be forgiven. You can wipe the slate clean. Forgiveness is an ultimate. And I remember when Charlie Kirk was talking about, Nikki Minaj. She's not the best role model for young girls. Well, with some of the stuff that she was doing, I would agree with him. However, you know what? Maybe, just maybe, she has turned around. Now, a couple of weeks ago at AmFest, Erica Kirk had Nikki Minaj on, and everybody was saying, what the heck is Erica Kirk doing? She's bringing to the stage Nikki Minaj, a woman who Erica's husband had condemned for not being a very good role model. And yeah, she, listen to some of the lyrics of her raps. Yeah, they're pretty gross. But Nikki Minaj has come out, and all of a sudden she's saying some really damning stuff. She posted, let me see, and this was, they had the Grammys a couple nights ago. And she, excuse me, this is posted by Dom Luker, Breaker of Narratives. He writes down that Nicki Minaj revealed to the world that celebrities have been practicing blood sacrifice rituals where they kidnap babies from other countries, mutilate, and kill them for a satanic cult. I can personally confirm that the entire celebrity industry is on fire right now. Well, the only reason I'm talking about this again is because, again, I turned my clock back a couple of decades when I befriended Ted Gunderson, and he and I spent so many hours together talking about some of this horrible stuff. And this is, I wasn't prepared for this. To find out about all this stuff, it made my head explode. But you know what? Like I said, the truth is a bitter pill. It's tough to swallow. But this is one of the things that motivated me to get out my trumpet and start blowing it. Anyway, Nicki Minaj has posted, listen to this. It says, your favorite artist has been practicing rituals in a satanic cult where they take babies from other countries and mutilate, kill them as part of a form of blood sacrifice to their god. You see, when your master is Satan, you must constantly shed blood. However, the jig is up. Okay, so that's one of the posts that she put out there. Let me see, what's the next one here? Where is it here? Okay, the next one she posted, she says, as they do their ritual tonight, and they're talking about the Grammys, God Almighty will reveal himself to them. The ritual will backfire on them. God will not be mocked. Blessed is the mighty name of Jesus Christ. Every tongue that rises up against me in judgment shall be condemned and put to shame. Wow. I don't know what came over Nikki, but it sounds to me that she's turned the corner. She also posted that everyone knows Chrissy Teigen has had a pee-pee. I'll just say that, okay? Anyway, so she's been at it. And, we're dealing with an evil that is unimaginable to most people. And goes back to that issue. Let me see if I still have that here. No, I closed that out. Oh, well, never mind. one of the files that came out in the Epstein release has to do with correspondence between Bill Gates and Jeffrey Epstein. Yeah. And they were planning, the title of this email says, Preparing for a Pandemic. Now, this goes back to March of 2015, folks. They were corresponding on how to get prepared and set the table to have a global pandemic. Yeah. So, I'm telling you, folks, it's all starting to come out. Now, unfortunately, there's an overwhelming majority of Americans, and it's been this way for decades and decades and decades and decades, that just don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear it. Well, I have a feeling that in the coming weeks, they're not going to have a choice. It's going to be shocking for a lot of people to find out that the folks that they admired, they revered, they idolized, they respected, were worthy of none of that. So prepare yourselves. Now, for those of us who are in the know, those of us who have been paying attention all this time, there's going to be a lot of people around us that are just not going to know how to handle this. So rather than point your finger and laugh or say, I told you so, or anything like that, they're going to need us to help them through this difficult period of time where they have to accept that they have been lied to. They've been living a lie all these years. And let me see if there's another clip here that, here's another one. This was posted by Alpha 100. And it says here, Epstein was not only a monster who harmed children, he was also a Jewish supremacist. And that's in these documents. He refers to all the non-Jews as Goyim. Oh, golly.
Monster who harmed children. He was also a Jewish supremacist, and his beliefs are not an anomaly. A lot of Jews believe what he did. He liked to point out in the emails the difference between Jews and what he called the Goyim. So his beliefs reflect what many rabbis teach. They teach that the difference between a Jewish and a non-Jewish soul, that there's a greater difference between that than between a human and an animal.
Now, she's referring, of course, by passages in the Talmud. Okay? And yours truly's been talking about this for a long time. And, of course, if you point that out, they say, oh, then you're an antiseptic or whatever. But it's not about that. It's not. I mean, there are Old Testament Jews that are disgusted with the imposters who call themselves Jews. And that's covered in Revelation 2:9 and 3:9. Yes, that Star of David, that represents a group of people that have nothing to do with the ancient Hebrews. Nothing whatsoever. Just do a little bit of research. And again, I don't know who it was who said it, but there's a quote here. It said here, one day, many will hang their heads in shame when they realize the evil they defended and the heroes they ridiculed. Those days are not just coming, folks. They're in the process of happening as we speak. And again, I point out, that the folks out there that have been screaming from the rooftops all these years, Lara Logan, what's his name? Tom, can't remember his name here. I'm just looking at a picture of him right now. Anyway, yeah, the Epstein Pizzagate issue that was brought forward. Anyway, I just hate it when I got somebody's name on the tip of my tongue. But anyway, here's another email that was released in the email files, in the Epstein files. And it's dated January 25th, 2011. And this was an email from Hillary Clinton to Barack Obama. All right. And it was also, let me see who was also added in there. Huma Abedin, John Podesta, Ben Affleck, Nancy Pelosi. A bunch of them apparently were invited to a party. Yeah, what kind of a party? A pizza party. Anyway, Hillary writes to Barack. She says, when we began the pizza arrangement, I thought we were going to be more careful than this. Operating from the White House is not what I originally had in mind. Remember that the hot dogs can come, But if you make a spectacle out of it, that will be our downfall. Please know that I am speaking as a friend. You are the president and can do as you like. But I have to say, I think it would be wiser to restrict this activity to our predetermined locations. Let me know what everyone thinks. We can vote on it if you like. Thanks. Signed, Hillary. Do you still have any doubt about what they mean when they talk about hot dogs? And why Barack Obama spent $65,000 for hot dogs at a party? What kind of hot dogs were these anyway? This is what we're getting. Anyway, in an unrelated topic, getting back to this issue about the immigration, this is one of the reasons why we're having a government shutdown right now, because the libs don't want ICE to be funded anymore. They just want all these illegals to be able to do whatever they want to do, wherever they are, whenever they want to do it. They don't like the idea of sending these illegals back to where they came from because they'll lose a huge portion of their voter base. But you know what? This woman posted a really good idea. Let me know what you think about this. This is cool. Listen to this.
Here's a great idea for clearing out illegals that doesn't involve ICE. I wonder if the liberals will be okay with this one.
Go after the banking of anybody that's here illegally. You can sic the compliance officers of all these banks. Instead of them going after American citizens, they can actually debank, and they can be incentivized to do so. That the bank either pays an enormous fine for banking illegals, or they seize those accounts, alert DHS, and the money, part of that money that's been here accumulated while working illegally, can be repatriated to those people once they're back in the country after they pay an exit tax for leaving the United States. These are the things, the whole of government things, that the president must do if he's going to hit the kind of numbers that he campaigned on, that we need to do to preserve our republic.
Can we start that on Monday? Or why wait? Let's start right now.
Yeah, I agree. We should do that right now. And of course, there are videos, we've been hearing about the Somalians in Dearborn, Michigan, who have been sending hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash. I mean, we're talking a suitcase filled with cash, in some cases over $1 million in cash at the airport, and they get busted for it. And they're complaining about it. Think about all this money that could be repatriated and returned to the taxpayers. And they're just now finding out about all this fraud that's going on. They said in California it's 10 times worse than in Michigan. Oh, man. Oh, there's just so much going on right now. Let me see. There was something else I wanted to get to. Christine Anderson was at the EU, and she made the following statement. I know I'm a little bit all over the map, sort of like a shotgun blast of information, but I promise you, everything is tied together, and it leads back to one particular group of people. You could use your own imagination to figure out which group I'm talking about. Here's Christine Anderson.
This whole COVID madness, this so-called pandemic, it was just a test balloon. A gigantic test balloon. Well, for what, you ask? Well, to see how far they could go. To see what exactly they would have to do to get free individuals in a free and democratic society to consent to being forced into compliance. That's what they were trying to establish. That's what they were trying to figure out. And they have figured it out. Trust me. They are much smarter now. The goal ultimately is to transform our free and democratic societies, into totalitarian societies. Their goal is to strip each and every one of us of our fundamental rights of freedom, democracy, the rule of law. They want to get rid of all of this. This whole COVID thing had never anything to do with public health. It never had anything to do with breaking waves. It always had to do with breaking people in order to make us a part of a mindless, malleable mass. which they can totally control, and we will be completely dependent upon this globalitarian elite.
Yes, she's absolutely right. The whole COVID thing was a test. And unfortunately, many people failed that test. Well, hopefully they won't fail this next time around, because I have no doubt that they're going to pull some other type of monstrous evil plot to try to subjugate the rest of humanity. And like I said, I think we're going to start seeing a lot of stuff happening over the next couple of weeks. And getting back to this whole thing about that one group that's behind it all, and turn the clock back to 2009. And let me see, this was in Mexico. 21-year-old, let me see, what was her name? Let me see. Garcia, no, where is it? Oh, I just had it here. I can't read it, doggone it. Oh, boy. Anyway, she's a model. Her name was Garcia Rico. She was filmed right after she had attended an exclusive elite party. And she was screaming about the elites eating people. And then she disappeared after that. So they're eating humans. Disgusting. They're eating humans. I wasn't aware of anything. I mean, about the murders, yes. But they had eaten humans. Humans. Anyways, she was outside the theater screaming at the top of her lungs, and she was disappeared after that night and never seen again. Isn't that interesting? Anyway, the hits just keep on coming. Let me see. I had something else here. Do I have time for it? I only got a couple of minutes left here. There are a couple of clips that I can't play because the profanity is unbelievable. However, there is a bright side. You may have seen the audio clip last year of a Little League baseball team that were getting ready to play a game, and the announcer says, "We will not be singing the national anthem today." And everybody went, "What?" Well, the audience, the crowd, started singing by themselves, and the whole place roared with applause. Well, it looks like there were two high school girls that basically did the same thing. Listen, this'll warm your heart. I love it. Anyway, I don't have enough time to play the whole thing, but that renews my faith in humanity. Anyway, with that said, folks, I got to hit that button. We can't wait for you to start. Oh, man, this hour goes by. So I got so much more stuff I didn't get to. I'll get to it tomorrow. All right, folks, I hope you're enjoying this broadcast, and if you are, please click like, share, and what's the other thing you do? Word of mouth. Subscribe, that's it. Word of mouth. Tell your friends, your family, your co-workers, the people standing next to you that there's a really cool audio podcast out here called the WTF Reports. Do some business with our advertisers, and hey, maybe you want to make a donation on GoFundMe, or maybe buy a t-shirt or a coffee mug or a baseball cap. We got it all at TheWTFReports.com. All right, that's it. Flat out of time. Oh, time and tide waits for no man. So anyway, until tomorrow, God bless you all. Stay safe, stay free, and I'll see you tomorrow.